I'm eating cheese curds right now. Yeah, I haven't been eating until I've been done with the live. So this is different for me.
Questions and attempting to introduce the taillight housing. Do you remember that?
Yes,
And you mentioned there were a number of items in that bag.
that's correct.
And during that break, did we have a chance to look inside the bag,
Yes,
accompanied by counsel for the defense?
yes.
When items are stored in a bag, is it common for them to be transferred to other locations other than your evidence locker?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase that
Sure.
information?
When
that
you
question?
store a piece of evidence in an evidence bag and you put it in the evidence locker for safekeeping, does the evidence sometimes travel to other places?
Yes,
If it's tested for other types of information, maybe DNA or biological fluids, can that item be transferred to another department?
yes,
Is sometimes that item brought back and forth to court for other proceedings?
yes.
And do you know if this item has been on different travels over time?
I do know that it went into several different units within the laboratory, yes.
When you opened up the bag and you said the housing was in that bag, the other items that were in the bag, do you know when they were put in there?
No, I do not.
Do they appear to be pieces that are consistent with the taillight housing?
I can't testify to whether or not they're consistent.
Okay. When you saw the pieces, do you know whether or not any of the pieces broke off that taillight housing?
I do not know.
The taillight housing, did it have any loose pieces when you first retrieved it from the Canton Police Department?
No, it did not. It had missing pieces, but nothing was loose on the taillight housing itself at the time that I collected it.
And the loose pieces on the bottom of that bag, they were in the bag when you opened it this morning?
Yes, that's correct.
The loose pieces, last time you had an opportunity to open that bag was how long ago?
Thank you, Jamie.
The only time I opened that, the packaging for the taillight housing was in the laboratory when I first examined it in 2023.
And do you have any indication this has passed many hands or hands since then?
I do know that that item went to the trace unit after I examined it.
Those loose pieces in the bottom of the bag, I'm going to ask you to keep them with the taillight housing.
Okay.
And I'm going to move that piece of evidence. Evans, I may have one moment. Okay.
Yes, we're actually caught up with them, so it's live now.
One last question.
Yes, she did move
When-
with the housing.
A bag is opened by somebody who's examining it. If there are small loose pieces accompanying the item, is it ever packaged in separate baggies or containers?
In the criminalistics unit, so I can only speak for myself and my individual examination, if there are loose items within the item that's packaged with it, I would separate it and potentially separate into a smaller package and put it inside the larger container so that it doesn't get lost.
In addition to the loose pieces in the bottom of that bag, do you see separate small containers of packaging of smaller pieces?
Yes, there were two smaller containers within that larger bag.
And those smaller packages that are separate from the actual larger item, did you put smaller pieces in those small bags?
I did not do that.
It's done by somebody other than you.
At some point, yes.
Okay. I now move to introduce that into evidence.
No objection, subject to the explanation and cross-examination, Your Honor.
Okay.
Could you present that?
Yes.
Yes.
Let's just sprinkle more reasonable doubt around. You get some reasonable doubt. You get some reasonable doubt.
And you can keep the gloves on. I just want to be able to show the small.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I was kidding. Yeah.
After it's marked.
Sure.
Exhibit 146.
She looks really pale today.
You've already showed us the housing. Can you show us some of the small pieces in the bottom of the bag and also the small separate packaging that you did not package?
Yes.
Thank you. Could you explain what those are?
These are two small glassine envelopes that were in the container.
Any markings on those envelopes?
Yes. Would you like me to read them?
Please.
Some of it is illegible to me. I didn't write it. I'm sorry. It appears to be at least the second half of the case number. It's possible that's the 2202184. 3-1 pieces E, G, I'm not sure if it's an M or an H, I, S, K. This also has a case number 22-02184. 3-1 assorted small pieces.
Thank you. And was there any pieces that weren't packaged other than the housing in that bag?
Yes.
Hey, could you show us, please?
This item was also located in the bag.
Just throw it in there. Who cares? Who needs evidence bags? Right? Right. Stop and shops.
And these two items were also located in the bag.
For the love of
Thank you
God.
very much.
I have a feeling we're gonna end up literally losing our shit today. Like, what is all this?
Yes, I'll take that.
Like this big. I am too. Good point. With nobody looking.
When you brought the taillight housing back to the lab, did you take it out of the bag and do anything with it?
Yes, during my examination, I did remove it from the bag to look at it.
Yes, amen.
When you, after you looked at it or during your observations, did you take any samples from it?
Yes, I did.
Explain to us what you did.
I took a polyester swab, I moistened it with sterile water, and then I applied that swab to the external front areas of the taillight.
Why did you do that?
My goal was to collect any potential biological material that was present on the exterior of the taillight.
Did you engage in that procedure pursuant to your training and experience?
Yes, I did.
If we could have former P-187 back on the screen, which is now an exhibit. Could you use the pointer and the television to your right? Could you show us or show the jury where you took a swab, what areas?
Yes.
Thank you.
So I took my collection from this upper right-hand corner, the red apparent plastic, as well from this area down here, another piece of red plastic, and then these clear apparent plastic here on the front of the taillight housing. Basically, any areas that would have been exposed when the taillight was intact.
Why do you take the swab and go to multiple different parts of an item?
The goal of this collection was just to determine if there's any biological material in that area. And there's no forensic relevance really to if it came from the upper right or the lower left. I took that collection as a whole. And in addition, there was a very small surface area to begin with.
When you took the swab, did you run it along the breaks in the red part?
Like the edges here?
Yes, the edges.
It's possible, yeah.
Keep in mind, they have a younger jury, which is good in my opinion.
Yes, that I collected from those edges.
Do you have a memory of what part you actually swabbed?
As I remember swabbing the external areas of the taillight, those that would have been on the outside prior to any damage being done.
Okay, thank you. You can take that down, please. After you engage in the procedure of taking a swab, what do you do to preserve that swab?
That swab is air dried. It's then repackaged in a small glassine envelope. A portion of the swab is also put in a clear plastic tube, which is sent forward to the DNA unit.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Why do you go through that
Thank
type
you,
of
Lindsay.
procedure? Why do you take that many steps?
I'm sorry, may I correct my answer
Please.
from the last question?
Please.
My apologies. So in this particular instance, the entire swab was cut up and put into plastic tubes for further testing.
Why did you do it that way?
This item was quantity limited. The swab itself was quantity limited, meaning that they'd have to use up the whole swab in order to run DNA analysis.
Did you do DNA analysis on the swab?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I don't work in the DNA unit, so that is the job of a different analyst.
At some point, did you take that item that had been preserved and put it into evidence?
Yes, I did.
So she's done. Say thank you next. Move
Were
on.
you shown a bag full of red
Thank
plastic
you.
cups with an item in it when you were at the Canton Police Department?
Yes, I was.
Could we have Exhibit 56, please?
Red Solo cups. She doesn't do DNA.
Thank you. This is a photograph that's been marked as an exhibit. Do you recognize what's in that exhibit?
Thank you,
Yes, I do.
Audra.
And what is it?
Those are 6 red plastic cups that contained frozen red-brown stains.
Did you do anything relative to the content of those cups?
I took a collection from one of the cups using 2 sterile cotton swabs.
Can you just briefly explain what that process entails?
Yes. I allowed the frozen red-brown stains to thaw. I applied sterile water to 2 cotton swabs, and then I applied it to one of the red-brown stained cups to collect the material from inside.
How do you preserve and maintain?
Keep in mind, they testified that they kept the pieces in the car all day.
The integrity of whatever sample you collect?
That sample is then entered into a glassine envelope, a large aluminum envelope. It is then sealed with my initials and date. It is given an independent item number and stored within the proper unit within the lab.
Take that down. Thank you. At some point, did you look at clothing?
Yes, I did.
Where did you look at clothing?
I examined the clothing from this case at the Massachusetts State Police Crime Laboratory.
Was the items brought to the crime laboratory?
Yes, they were.
Did you have a chance to unpackage them?
Yes, I did.
When you received them, how were they stored?
They were stored in brown paper bags and potentially boxes. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And did you look at a number of different items of clothing?
Yes, I did.
Can I approach you on it?
Yes.
That alone should make all of them inadmissible. How this is still evidence is beyond me.
I'm going to show you a series of 4 photographs. I'm going to ask you about each one of them individually. You recognize the first photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a photograph I took of a gray sweatshirt.
Is that photograph accurately depict the sweatshirt as it appeared to you when you looked at it?
Yes, it does.
You look at the second photograph, please. Do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is an additional photograph of the front of the gray sweatshirt where I had put some markings on the sweatshirt.
Why did you put markings on the sweatshirt?
These markings specifically are noting areas of damage.
Third photograph, please. You recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what's in that photograph?
This is a close-up photo of the area of damage that I denoted as 1.
And a fourth photograph, please. You recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is a close-up of area damage 1.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw that day when you examined this particular item?
Yes.
All right, were these 4 photographs of the evidence?
I could just see them quickly.
I have a weird feeling. I have a feeling there's something really big
No
coming,
objection.
bigger than the small hair and
So
small.
let's mark them for
Glass.
exhibit A, B, C, D, please.
Does anybody else feel that too? Like a disturbance in the force, if you will?
Exhibit 147, A, B, C, and D.
Thank you. With the court's permission, could we please show former P190 to the jury?
Yes.
I still don't understand how this is actual evidence that wasn't thrown out.
Is that one of the photographs you just recognized?
Yes, it is.
And could you explain to us what you see?
This is the exterior front of the gray sweatshirt. There is linear damage between the top and bottom of the sweatshirt, as well as linear damage across each sleeve of the sweatshirt.
Do you see the cut down the front of that sweatshirt?
Yes.
Did you distinguish that cut as any different than the damage on the arm?
I did not do any damage analysis on that particular area of damage.
Why not?
Typically in these type of events, you'll see those types of damage associated with clothing being removed from emergency medical technicians, so they're not forensically relevant.
Thank you. If we could turn now to former P194.
It's okay. I don't understand
the same
how we're still
sweatshirt?
sitting here.
Yes, it is.
And there's a little bit of difference, is markings or tabs on it?
Yes, that's correct.
What are you doing there?
I put tabs on each of the areas of damage on the sleeve and 2 on the chest that I was going to examine further.
When you put the tabs on, do you write a report or mark it in any way to memorialize it in case the tabs fall off?
Yes, in this case, they were marked tabs 1 through 9. Those are not permanent on the sweatshirt. They're actually just pieces of filter paper that I used to mark it.
Could we, Ms. Gilman, zoom in on that right arm, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
It's confusing.
What is written on those tabs?
Yep.
Each
Little
tab
hole.
has a number on it that corresponds
Very
with an
tiny
area of
hole.
damage that I examined.
And when you write a report, when you memorialize it, is that to keep an accounting of each?
Yes, that's correct.
If we could turn now to former P196, which is 147C. What does that depict, ma'am?
That is a close-up of the area of damage 1 that I did further examination on.
Could we zoom in a little bit on the, yes, the circle part?
Because the tail light just pokes a hole
Is
in
that
the
a fair and
sweater.
accurate depiction of what it looked like when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And finally, if we could have P197, which is exhibit 147D. What are you doing there?
No,
That's
we see
a
it too.
close-up photo of that same area of damage 1 with a scale included.
It reminds me of holes that dogs' teeth would go into or dogs' nails.
We just saw a close-up of one of the holes that was marked number 1. Did you do the same analysis for each and every one of those areas that you marked?
Yes, I did.
And did you look close up at each and every one of them and measure each and every one of them?
Yes, I did.
Are there photographs showing all of those different
There's a
angles
tiny
for
one
each
up
and every
here,
hole
too.
that you went through?
Yes, I took
blood.
numerous photographs of each area of damage.
Yes, Kathy.
You could take that down, please. In addition to that sweatshirt, did you look at any other clothing items?
Yes, I did.
Court's permission, can I approach?
Yes.
Thank you.
I still don't
Showing
understand
two
how this is
photographs.
still a
The
case.
First one, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
This is item 7-17. It's an orange t-shirt.
Is it a fair?
No, she didn't say. It looked like it.
Thank you. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
And the second photograph, please take a look.
Yes.
Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is the other side of the orange t-shirt.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the T-shirt when you examined it?
Yes, it is.
All right, move these two photographs into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Guess we'll wait and see if she found them. Brian, I don't know. And again, if we go by evidence, he's still missing a shoe too, because there's no way that's the same shoe.
So that's 148 A and B.
They actually did bring a meteorologist
With the
earlier
court's
on.
permission, I'd like to show P232 to the jury.
Okay.
I think the reason we're not hearing coughing is because this witness wouldn't know about that sign.
Could you tell us what you see?
That is a photograph of item 7-17 is the back of the orange t-shirt.
Could we zoom a little in on the numbers on the bottom, Ms. Gilman? What's that on the bottom?
That is the case number, the individual item number for that t-shirt, my initials, and the date that I examined it, or the date that I took the photo.
So you had obtained this item on that date, or this is when you examined it and already had it?
That is the date that I opened it up, examined it, and took the photo.
And on the left, what's that ruler used for?
That's a scale just to show the size of the item.
Could we zoom back out and get a full look at that?
The meteorologist really did love his job.
Thank you. If you could turn next to P233, Ms. Gilman.
He had us bringing up too
What
much
is that, a
math
photograph
type
of?
things.
That is a photograph of the front of the orange t-shirt, item 7-17.
Ms. Gilman, can we first see the bottom left-hand corner, zoomed in a little bit? Thank you. Why did you place a marker there?
I used markers on this item to note areas of staining that I was going to do further analysis on.
Did
The
you do
whole
further
shirt is
analysis of
stained.
that stain area?
Yes, I did.
And how did you do that? Any different than the swab you talked about before?
This I screened for blood, and I'd have to check my notes for any further testing I did on it.
When you screened it for blood,
It was cut to be taken off, April.
Positive or negative result?
That was positive.
Do you know if you did anything further with it?
May I check my notes?
With the
Yes.
court's permission? Thank you.
Can we turn the lights up, please? Thank you.
You're welcome. If I was on the jury, I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed that they're
Please.
putting me through all
Yes,
this
I also
time.
performed a confirmatory test for blood on that stain.
So what's the
Thank
difference
you.
between a preliminary and a confirmatory test?
A screening test, other types of materials may cause a positive reaction. For the confirmatory test, it is confirmatory for blood,
Thank
as
you,
well as it
guys.
indicates human blood, although you might get a positive reaction from primate blood or ferret blood.
What the
We
hell?
now turn to the top right and zoom in if you would. We see 3 tabs there. What are you looking for in those areas?
Ferret blood?
Those are 3 additional red-brown stains that I performed further testing on.
And do you have the results of that testing?
So I performed a screening test on each of those tests, and each of those screening tests was positive. I performed a confirmatory test on stains A and C, which were also positive. I did not perform that test on stain B due to its small size.
In my opinion, not guilty.
If you could zoom out just a little bit, please. Similar to the sweatshirt, there's long cuts through the front of that t-shirt. Is your analysis and opinion any different than the similar cuts that you saw on the sweatshirt?
Yes, I did not perform any additional analysis on those area of damage due to the fact that they're most likely attributed to the emergency medical technicians or medical personnel removing that item of clothing.
Thank you. You could take that down, please, Ms. Gilman. And for the final piece of clothing, did you have a chance to look at pants?
I did look at a pair of jeans, yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
It's cut off, the shirt is.
I handed you 2 photographs. The first one, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
This is a photograph of the front of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Do you have the second photograph, please? Do you recognize what's in that?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
Let's do a quick poll. At this point, as we're here right now, if you had to decide a verdict, would it be guilty or not guilty? Not guilty is going to be the cry face. Guilty is the smile face. I don't pick the emotes. Not guilty or guilty. You just got to click one or the other.
This is a photograph of the back of the pair of jeans, item 7-1.
Do both of those photographs fairly depict what you saw when you examined the clothing?
Yes, they do.
I move these 2 into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
They need to dismiss all these charges with prejudice. I don't even know how we're here.
Exhibits 149A and B.
With the court's permission, I'd show P242, which is 149A, to the jury.
I agree it was tainted. It should have all been thrown out.
Was there anything of note when you examined these pants?
These pants also had linear damage between the top and the bottom, which would be consistent with cuts made by emergency medical personnel when removing the item.
If we could zoom in to show those cuts, Ms. Gilman. And could we scroll down, please? Thank you. If we could next show P243, which is 149B. Could you zoom in on the top part of those pants, please? Do you make any observations or notes about the pants?
May I look at my notes, please?
With the court's permission, please. Thank you.
Yes, that's, yeah. I can guarantee you that's what's going to happen if she's found guilty. It'll
I
be
noted
a-
numerous red-brown stains on the clothing, as well as dirt and debris on the clothing.
What part of the pants did you note the dirt and debris?
It was just a general observation. I didn't specifically denote where it was.
Ms. Gilman, could you scroll from the top to the bottom of the pants, please? Thank you. You can take that down, please.
Why are they in worse condition in the court than they are
Did
in
you
that
perform
picture?
any additional testing relative to the clothing that you examined, that being the sweatshirt, the t-shirt, and the pants?
I performed numerous tests on each of the red-brown stains on the items that I marked.
After you completed
Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you.
examining the red and brown stains, did you do any other type of
No, it was
testing
not
or
Kat.
evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Yes, I did.
Unless it was pressed completely flat where we couldn't see any tears. But no, it did not look ripped the way it does today.
You share with the jury what you did as far as further evidence collection relative to the clothing.
Can
I
we
agree.
take it item by item?
We
How would you
sure
prefer
can.
to do it?
Let's
His
start
left,
with the sweatshirt.
yeah.
Okay. So in addition to testing the red-brown stains,
Mhm.
I collected any stain.
Do you make any observations or notes about the pants?
Yeah, his left. I agree, his left.
May I look at my notes, please?
With the court's permission, please. Thank you.
Actually, hold on. Is that the beginning of a tear? It's not hanging there. It looks like this might be a beginning of a tear. You think? I could see that. I could see that.
Could you zoom in on the top part of those pants, please? Do you make any observations or notes about the pants?
May I look at my notes, please?
With the-
What's this up here? With the little yellow dot. What is that? No, he wasn't. He wore Luckies. I used to fit in Lucky jeans when I was in high school. We won't have to compare that to now, though. I think that's fairly obvious.
With the court's permission, please. Thank you.
I did too when I fit in them. I sure did love them. I didn't think about that. Good catch. We'll have to compare.
I noted numerous red-brown stains on the clothing, as well as dirt and debris on the clothing.
What part of the pants did you note the dirt and debris?
It was just a general observation. I didn't specifically denote where it was.
Ms. Gilman, could you scroll from the top to the bottom of the pants, please? Thank you. You can take that down, please.
So this would assume that he was facing the back of the vehicle when he got struck by the SUV. So was he bent over tying his shoes and then the bumper just connected with the face and then he landed on his ass and then somehow managed to get drag marks along his pants? Again, this isn't making sense to me.
Did you perform any additional testing relative to the clothing that you examined, that being the sweatshirt, the t-shirt, and the pants?
I performed numerous tests on each of the red brown stains on the items that I marked.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. And he was knocked out of his shoe.
After you completed examining the red and brown stains, did you do any other type of testing or evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Yes, I did.
That too, with the
Could you
glass
share
in
with
his
the
hand.
jury what you did as far as further evidence collection relative to the clothing?
Can we take it item by item?
We
How would you
sure
prefer
can.
to do it?
And they just throw things randomly in bags and, find it during the trial. Who cares, right? Brian, excellent point. He would have to put it down, wouldn't he? Explain to me if that is what happened, and it's a lot of assuming. So if that is what happened, why would it not break the actual tail light bulb itself? Why only break the outside of it? It would have broke that light bulb too, but that light bulb was still intact. That makes no sense to me.
Let's start with the sweatshirt.
Okay.
This is giving me a
So in
headache.
addition to testing the red-brown stains, I collected any stain that was positive or confirmatory for blood. After
Are you kidding? I'm so sorry.
performing that collection, I also performed a collection around the tears on the right sleeve of the item. That's using 2 cotton swabs moistened with sterile water, which I vigorously rubbed around the areas of the teared areas on the sleeve. I also performed an additional scraping and swabbing of the unstained area of the sweatshirt for any potential skin cell recovery. In addition, I performed a debris collection from the sweatshirt.
I want to stop you there. I want you to explain to us in some detail what is a debris collection and how do you undergo a debris collection?
After I've completed all the testing that I'm going to do on the item, I remove any large items
How
that
are
may be
you?
present on the item, such as apparent hairs or fibers, anything that I can pick off, I can visibly
over here,
see
Miss
with a
Ray.
pair of tweezers. Once that is done, I will do I did a general debris collection where I took a large metal spatula-shaped object and scraped the clothing, or in this particular case, the sweatshirt. And any debris that came off the sweatshirt was put into a glassine fold and preserved.
Before you tried to scrape off any debris that was on the sweatshirt, could you, to your own eye, see any debris in the sweatshirt?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
Mine shows green. I've been green the whole time.
In this particular case, I did pick off a couple of pieces of what I termed black debris. I made no additional analysis of that item. I packaged that separately, and then these scrapings themselves, I did not make any observations of anything contained in those scrapings.
You'll probably have to go out and come back in.
So there was nothing of note that I could have put in my notes to further classify them.
When you do the scraping, is there a table or a desk that you would see small pieces or difficult pieces? How do you contain what you're scraping from an item?
I lay out a piece of glassine paper, which is approximately 6 inches by 6 inches, and I scrape the debris into that glassine, and then I fold it up and put it in an additional envelope to prevent anything from falling out.
So if there's any debris, you would fold it in the glassine and then put that in a separate envelope?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you continue to study and scrape the other pieces of clothing?
Yes, I performed that same type of scraping on the orange t-shirt. That scraping was combined with the scrapings from the sweatshirt. I performed the same scraping on the jeans as well as the boxer shorts.
In that scraping process, did you acquire debris?
Yes, there was some visible debris.
How small were the pieces?
I did not make any measurements of it.
Why not?
That's done by a different analysis unit, so I didn't do any type of analysis on that debris.
How small or large were the pieces of debris that you scraped from the clothing?
I did not take any measurements of them.
How did you store the debris that you scraped from the clothing?
It was put into a glassine fold, given a separate item number, and then put into a larger glassine fold so that it could be tracked throughout the laboratory.
Do you have that item number?
Yes, I do. So the debris from the sweatshirt and t-shirt was item 7-18.18.
I'm going to ask you one more time for that number.
7-18.18.
And that's the debris that you scraped from the shirt and the sweatshirt.
Close the
Correct.
door.
Did you do any debris scrapings from the pants?
Yes, I did.
Was any debris produced from the pants?
Yes.
Was it similarly packaged?
Yes, that's correct.
Was there a different item number given for the pants?
Yes.
And what was that item number?
May I check my notes?
Yes.
Thank you. That item number, the debris from the jeans, was 7-1.8.
Who wants more?
Those two items, the debris that you acquired from those clothing items, did you send them anywhere?
I put those in our secured storage unit, and they were later forwarded on to the trace unit for analysis.
They later went to the trace unit?
Yes, that's correct.
When you arrived at Canton on February 1st, 2022, do you recall what the weather was like outside?
I don't recall. I just know that it was winter.
You said when you first get to a scene, you have a conversation about the investigators' information to help your assessment. And I don't want you to discuss what that conversation may have been, but did you have a similar conversation?
Yes, I did.
When you're looking at an item that's been stored, like in this case, a car, does the weather conditions, ice, cold, snow, ever preserve or maintain evidence on an item longer than it otherwise would stay?
I'm sorry, can you ask that one more time, please?
Does ice or snow or the weather ever maintain evidence longer than otherwise would stay?
I don't have any data or information to that.
Yeah, he's running off, attacking the cats, playing wrestling, and forgetting about his mama that helped nurse him back to health. Yep.
Have you ever had an opportunity to view videos of the Lexus when it was first stored and the condition of snow and ice on it and the thawing process of that?
I don't believe that's the part of the video I saw, no.
You saw a video after the snow had already melted?
I don't know if the snow had melted. When I saw the vehicle, it did not have snow on it.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Mr. Alessi.
Your Honor, may I approach the
Yes.
witness? Thank you. Your Honor,
Show
pursuant
Mr. Brennan the deed again. Okay.
to a stipulation, with the Commonwealth. We stipulated into evidence various documents, so what I'd like with Your Honor's permission, and to the clerk,
Great.
have marked as next in order, and then I'll proceed from there.
Thank you. Should any be marked A, B, and C, or are they each separate?
Separate, please.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what he's gonna do with this. You're tracking the time. Even I didn't realize it was almost 2. They're being marked as exhibits. She does.
Exhibits 150 through 153.
And Your Honor, there's one more exhibit that we had pursuant to stipulation that I would have evidence from.
Good afternoon, Cass. How are you? Good to see you. It's another explosive court day.
Exhibit 154.
And Your Honor, if I could just show Mr. Wolf this to make this more efficient for the last one.
I hope that
Thank
she
you, Your Honor.
sues the hell out of Canton. Yeah, I've got mine over here.
Thank you for that opportunity, Your Honor, and if I could, please, I'll leave these here. These are all going to be
Thanks,
published
Andy.
with Your Honor's permission, but obviously the witness is going to need that.
So you can put them right on the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I don't know. I'm surprised they were able to retry it. My understanding was they had to change the wording of the
Unless
charges.
they may approach for the witness.
I don't know how many other opportunities they would get.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, you could tell she doesn't feel good today. During the opening, they had a sidebar, and she had to leave sidebar to run out to the bathroom. Oh, walk fast.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hartman.
Good afternoon.
Is it acceptable to you for me to refer to you as Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
You were dispatched to the Sally Port at the Canton Police Department on February 1st, 2022 by former Massachusetts State Trooper Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
It doesn't look
You
like Karen
understood
is.
at that time that Michael Proctor was the lead detective, the person who was in control of the investigation.
Yes, that's what I was informed of when I arrived.
While you were there, one of the things that you did initially was to
Thank you for subscribing, Cass. I really appreciate it.
conduct an overview of the vehicle meaning the black Lexus SUV that you talked about extensively on Direct, correct?
Yes, that's
She's not in jail. She's out on bond.
correct.
That was important to you, given the limited information that you had at the time about what was contended to be a potential motor vehicle pedestrian incident, correct?
That is something
She has MS.
that I would do in any type of exam where I'm looking at a vehicle. I look at the overall vehicle.
So you were looking for anything possible that would rise to the level of investigative concern regarding that vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you're familiar with the parlance investigative concern, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's why you noted various items, for example, scratches on the vehicle.
Yes.
You noticed that too?
Didn't draw any conclusions
I was waiting to see if somebody was going to notice that too. I waited. I held my tongue.
as to where those scratches came from, though, did you?
No, I did not.
It's okay, user. If you go to my YouTube, I post the lives every day after we're done. So you have day 1 to 14 all sitting there for you.
The dent that you noted and photographed that you discussed on your direct examination, you likewise made no conclusion as to the source or cause of that dent, correct?
That's correct.
And you did therefore not make any or draw any conclusions as to whether that dent was caused by any motor vehicle or pedestrian accident, correct?
Correct.
You're a forensic scientist too for the Massachusetts State Police Department, as I understand it.
Yes.
With regard to the taillight that you spoke about rather extensively
Right, Peggy?
on your direct examination,
Thank you for the follow.
you likewise were not able to, and you make
Thank
no
you, ma'am.
conclusions as to the cause of that broken taillight, correct?
That's correct.
And you draw therefore no conclusions with regard to whether that taillight
Thank you.
became in the condition that was discussed on direct examination pursuant to any alleged motor vehicle pedestrian incident, correct?
Correct.
The dent, the scratches, the broken taillight on the Lexus, to your knowledge, as you sit here today, could have existed before February 1st, 2022, when you went to Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And to your knowledge, the dent, the scratches, the broken taillight could have existed before January 29th of 2022, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You also looked for, as you stated, tissue, blood, biological material, and things of that nature on the vehicle, correct?
Yes, I did.
In that inspection of the vehicle, you didn't see any visible stains or tissue on the vehicle, did you?
Did you watch it?
No, I did not.
You were told, Ms. Hartnett, that there were wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And at the time you went to the Sallyport on February 1st of 2022, you were not shown a photograph by anybody of the wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe, were you?
No, I was not.
The one she's talking about is for Diddy.
However, you've seen since then a photograph of the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe and the wounds on that right arm, correct?
Yes, I have.
He was right-handed,
With your
right?
Honor's permission, if I could publish Exhibit 1 in evidence?
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf? Ms. Hartnett, I'd ask you to take a look at that, and you recognize that what's depicted in that Exhibit
Me
1,
either, Lisa.
correct?
Yes, I do.
And you've seen that pattern of wounds on the right arm as depicted in a photograph of the decedent before, correct?
I've seen this photo before, yes.
You cannot state whether the wounds on the right arm as depicted in Exhibit
My
1
hands are
are
tied.
from a motor vehicle, can you?
That would be on the scope of my expertise. I don't make any conclusions on injuries on a person.
So the answer is you cannot and do not make any conclusions with regard to the source of the wounds on the right arm as Mr. O'Keefe as depicted in that Exhibit 1, correct?
That's correct.
And you're also
Leslie
not
trying to give
able
me
to
bananas.
state whether you observed anything on the vehicle.
Mr. Alessi, can we put are you done with this?
I'm not, yeah,
Okay.
Your Honor, but I will let the court know. It'll be shortly. Thank you. And you cannot state that you observed anything on the SUV that would cause the wounds on the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe as depicted in Exhibit 1, correct?
That is not a type of analysis I would perform.
So the answer to that question is no, you cannot state that you observed anything on the vehicle that would cause those wounds to the right arm of Mr. O'Keefe?
Sustained.
I would answer you, Crystal, if I knew that we don't see this in trials. This is not the usual behavior, not at all. It's the audacity for me that she does this
But we can
repeatedly.
now take that down, Your Honor, thank you.
I've never once heard her rush the prosecution. Not once.
Did you look toward the top of the lift gate of the Lexus vehicle when you were at the Sallyport Canton Police Department on February 1st of 2022?
Are you referring to the exterior or the interior?
Exterior.
I don't recall specifically looking at that area. I did an overall examination of the vehicle, with exception to the actual roof of the vehicle. So I don't remember specifically looking at that area.
As you sit here today, there is nothing
I
notable
agree.
with regard to that area of the vehicle, correct?
I had nothing in my notes regarding that area, no.
And as you sit here today, there's nothing you're recalling that is notable about the tap part around the lift gate of the back of the SUV, correct?
That's correct.
No, it shows a bias in my opinion.
Did anyone
Huge
ask
bias.
you to examine that area?
Not that area specifically, no.
Do you understand what I will refer to as the undercarriage of the vehicle?
Yes,
And what, just for the jury's better understanding, what are you referring to when you refer to the undercarriage of the vehicle? I know it may be common sense, but just to be clear.
what I understand the undercarriage to be, where if I was laying underneath the car, what I would be looking at, it include the muffler, various pipes, but that's the extent of my knowledge of vehicles.
So if we're talking about the back of the vehicle, and if we go sort of top to bottom, top where we were talking about above the lift gate, going all the way down, and then go to the bumper, and then go under the bumper and where it curls under the bumper, then with the bumper and underneath and more a little toward the
Right.
front, is that what you're referring to as the undercarriage?
Yes, just the general area underneath the vehicle, extending from under the bumper to the front of the vehicle.
Right, so the undercarriage is not merely from the back, but it's underneath all the way toward the front of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's
And you
correct.
refer to all, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So all that area you refer to as the undercarriage.
Yes.
Did you notice anything of note in the undercarriage, as you just described it, of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
I did.
And as regards sampling that you discussed on your direct examination, did you take any samples of that undercarriage area of the vehicle?
I did not collect anything from the undercarriage, no.
And is the reason you didn't collect anything because you didn't see anything of note that was worthy of collection?
In addition to that, I also performed some testing of that area.
And what testing of that area did you perform?
I performed screening tests on some of the lower lying areas of the undercarriage, on the tire flaps, the edge of the bumper, the muffler pipe.
And what were the results of that testing, that screening testing?
Those results were negative.
And negative for what?
It was a screening test for the possible presence of blood.
So on the entire undercarriage, from where we started in the very back the way underneath, all the way up to the front. The screening test came back negative for any blood or other biological material or anything else of note that would be part of that screening test.
So I did not perform a screening test on the entire undercarriage. I just performed the screening test on the lower lying areas, and those were all negative. And there was also no visible staining in that area, so that is correct.
What I'd like to do now is to talk about sort of overall what we just discussed. So you discussed certain damage to the vehicle. You had no way on February 1st, and you have no way today of knowing whether any or all of that damage was pre-existing before January 29th of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
So it's possible that all the damage that you've discussed could have existed before January 29th of 2022.
Yes, that's possible.
Are you aware of the odometer reading of the Lexus when it was in the Sallyport garage?
Good question.
No, I'm not.
If we showed you a document in evidence that would have that on the mileage on the odometer, might that refresh your recollection as to what the mileage was?
That's not something I made a note of or even observed on the day that I was looking at the vehicle.
Okay, so you were there with Trooper Clark on February 1st, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Are you aware of whether Trooper Clark observed and took a picture of the odometer? Are you aware of that happened?
I'm not aware of that specific picture.
Yes.
He just said, Convenient, huh?
The mileage on the vehicle was of no interest to you in your inspection as a forensic scientist too?
So my role as a forensic scientist too is to look for potential biological fluids and trace materials on an item. The mileage would not be something that I have ever made note of in any of my examinations of the vehicle.
Ever?
So but you do analyze damage, correct?
I perform damage analysis on textiles and softer materials, not on vehicles.
But you performed a damage analysis on this vehicle, correct?
No, that's not correct.
So you observed damage on this vehicle, correct?
Yes,
But although you observed damage for your role, your position is that the mileage is of not of interest regarding your role. If I got that correct?
correct.
Thank you.
Careful, your resting bitch face is showing.
Moving on to another
Or
category.
that way.
You spoke on direct examination about solo cups and 6 solo cups, and there were depictions put on the screen. Do you recall that?
Yes, I do.
So on February 1st, in addition to taking some swabs from the vehicle, you also mentioned that you took swabs of, as I recall it, frozen red-brown stains located inside the red solo cups?
Yes, that's correct.
Other than in this case, did you ever have to take swabs of red stained material from solo cups that people usually use for
Drink
other
out of?
purposes?
I've never performed a collection like that, no.
So this is the first time you ever performed a collection like that, correct?
I mean, the collection process itself is standard, applying the sterile water to the swabs and putting it in a potential stain of interest. However, no, I've never collected a sample from a red solo cup before.
Have you ever taken a sample from a red solo cup since that February 1st?
No, I've not.
Red Solo Cup.
How many swabs did you take with regard to the red Solo cups?
I took 2 swabs.
How did you choose which of the 6 Solo cups that you were going to take? And I understand you took 2. Did you take 2 swabs?
2 swabs, but they were considered the same sample. They were taken from the same cup, same stain.
That was what I wanted to get at. Is you took 2 swabs, but they were from the same Solo cup.
That's correct.
Do you recall how you chose which Solo cup you were going to take the swab from?
I don't recall.
Could that be of significance? Which
I
one you
agree,
chose
yes.
and why?
In this particular case, I did not believe it was significant at the time.
Did you confer with anybody as to what might be the best Solo cup from which to take the swab?
I did receive information about where those Solo cups were collected from, which helped me in making that decision.
How do you know they didn't get mixed up then?
As a forensic scientist too, you're aware that blood stains can contain, and these red-brown stains here, could contain multiple contributors, correct?
In some instances, that is correct.
What's a multiple contributor?
Me either.
A multiple contributor, I believe the term more used in the DNA unit. However, having many contributors to a particular stain just mean there may be multiple sources of that biological material.
Do you know which red-brown stains that are contended to be found at the scene relate to which Solo cup in the bag that these Solo cups were in?
The information I had at the time were that these were collected from a same single stained area from beneath the victim.
But you don't have personal knowledge of that, correct?
No, that's correct. I was not present at the scene at 34 Vireo.
If the swabs were taken from multiple stains, you would have no way of knowing whether the swabs were taken from the same stain, correct?
Can you rephrase that, please?
Sure. If the swabs were taken from multiple stains, you wouldn't know where the swabs in particular came from?
So are you speaking of the swabs that I took?
Yes.
So the swabs that I took, I know came from one of those 6 cups. And I was informed that those 6 cups of red-brown stains came from a single stained area underneath the victim.
That information you just spoke about, was it put in any note that you read?
It was something that I had in my notes.
Did anybody else convey that information to you at the Sally Port?
I got that from an officer on scene
No, you're not, Parker. Why would you say that?
at the Sally Port, but I do not recall which officer relayed that
So
to
it
me.
was verbal information you got from
That is correct.
person. Did that person show you any note or chain of custody or other document to support his or her statement in that regard?
No, they did not.
I agree with you 100%.
Ultimately, once you did take those swabs from a single Solo cup, what did you do with the rest of the evidence in the cup?
That evidence was left with the Canton PD.
So you left the rest
She
of
doesn't
the
do
brown
that.
stained blood evidence from the Solo cups with the Canton PD. You didn't take it back with you to your officer lab.
Correct.
That makes no sense.
DNA testing was not done on those swabs, was it?
I don't believe it was. No testing was done on those swabs.
I'm not good at that either.
So as we all sit here today, there has been no confirmation of whose blood those swabs relate to, correct?
At this time, those were not tested for blood at all, so I couldn't confirm that they're blood, and no additional testing was done. That is correct.
Are you kidding me? That.
The whole case should be tossed out right now.
It should have been done tossed out like 20
I know.
times.
I know.
The red Solo cup DNA ice samples were never tested. And they went to all that trouble to get the red Solo cups. No, there were 6 Solo cups, Janice. It was like a little 6-pack inside of a Stop and Shop bag, literally.
So therefore, we don't know any person or persons they might relate to.
That is correct.
How high does this incompetence reach? And they seem okay with that incompetence.
And thus, we don't know if there were
Do you?
multiple contributors to those stains.
Objection.
Oh,
Sustained.
I'd call for the case to be thrown out right now.
you testified that the remainder of the contents of the Solo cup that you swabbed from, as well as the other 5 Solo cups, were retained at the Canton Police Department, as you know, before you left. And that investigation, as you said at the time, was being headed up by former Trooper Proctor, correct?
That is correct.
That would have called for me to have
Michael
these thrown out too.
Proctor was at the Canton Police Department
Good question,
Sallyport
Heather.
location at the time you were performing your work on February 1st, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Did Michael Proctor take control of those Solo cups?
I do not know who took control of the Solo cups. I know that I turned them over to Canton police officer. I handed them to a Canton police officer.
You didn't bother to ask
Michael
who?
Proctor have taken control of those Solo cups?
To my knowledge, it was a Canton police officer at that time. I don't know what happened to them after they were turned over to the Canton PD.
Why is it that you believe a Canton police officer had control over those cups rather than former Trooper Proctor?
Just from my actual memory, I remember turning them. They had collected the frozen red brown stains in the cups, so it was technically their evidence. I took the sample I needed from them, so I just returned it to the officer who had presented them to me.
You said you
So-
didn't know
so
who it
therefore,
was.
after you
No,
present-
hold the hell on. You said you didn't know who it was, just that it was a Canton officer. You just said you gave it back to the person that presented it to you. Make up your mind.
To them, you don't know who took control of those cups. Is that a fair conclusion?
Yes, that's correct. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. My question probably wasn't all that clear. Ultimately, during your work and inspection of the vehicle, the SUV, the right rear taillight housing was removed as you testified to on direct examination, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you testified that a Canton police officer sort of helped you with the last stage of the removal of that taillight.
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know whether that officer was wearing, do you have a distinct recollection that that officer was wearing any special protective gloves?
I only know because I have seen the videos recently that he was wearing gloves.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your answer.
I only know that he was wearing gloves because I have recently seen the video. I do not have a firsthand memory of that.
You said you recently saw a video. When was that?
Dun dun dun.
Monday,
And what was
maybe.
the,
I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. What day is today? I saw it Thursday. Excuse me.
and what was the circumstances under which you were reviewing a video?
I had just recently found out there was video, and it's just something I wanted to see in case I was shown it on the stand, so I knew what it consisted of. I haven't seen it prior to
Who
last
told you
Thursday.
about it?
Did you testify to that on your direct and I missed it, or did it not come up? Reviewing
come
the video.
up.
I'm sorry. Yes, I believe I was asked if I had seen the video, and yes, I had.
Okay, thank you. Now back to the taillight.
Mr. Alessi, that's a
Mr.
big one to
Woke,
let go.
If we could have Exhibit 145 published,
Okay.
with your Honor's permission. Thank you. We have up on
Thank you.
the screens, and I know you went through this on direct, so I'm going to shortcut it. This is the tail light at the lab that you were talking about on direct, correct?
Yes, that's
I agree.
correct.
You should have gone much further.
And that's the tail light housing that you submitted to the lab that you had obtained from the Sallyport garage, right?
Yes,
And just
correct.
to cover quickly some basics, there was one swab taken that you mentioned on direct of that tail light.
Yes.
And you testified, if I remember correctly, on direct that it's better for you just if you could
Thank you for subscribing, Peggy. I appreciate it.
with a pointer, is just show the areas you covered with that one swab.
So I collected the swab from any of the, what would have been exposed areas of the taillight when the taillight was intact.
And if you could please, just give like a perimeter full, I know it's not a circle, but whatever it is, just a full perimeter so the jury can see the entire area that you swabbed.
Sure. It was this upper right-hand red area, this portion down here, I believe it's red. And then there's also a portion of clear area in the front here that was
Thank you.
swabbed. And that was all contained on a single swab.
Thank you very much. So I want to keep this up if I could, Your Honor, but we can have the lights
Thank
back
you.
on if that's acceptable. So, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Peggy, when you go to type now, in the typing box, there's the symbol for the smiley face. Next to it, there'll be a star. That's how you access the stickers for the subscription
In
stickers.
terms of
Now you get to play with
the
those.
swabbing, you did not swab, therefore, any other area of that taillight, correct? Including the area to the left of where you just drew the circle, if you will, around, correct?
I would just say it's difficult from this
You're
picture
welcome.
to see if there is what would have been exposed when the tip. May I finish? I'm sorry. I don't know specifically on the left from this picture if there's anything that would have been there prior to the damage. If there was an external area, it would have been included in my collection. So I just didn't include any of the internal components of the taillight. So if I'm missing a piece over there that would have been on the exterior, then I apologize. I just can't see it in the picture if it's there.
Let's just assume my discussion
have
of my
one.
questions. You don't have to assume. My questions are just with regard to the inside of the taillight, because you've very nicely governed and talked about the outside
That's the evidence 101 for Canton. That's their evidence kit.
of the taillight as you described it, where you swabbed. Now I want to go to the areas that you didn't swab.
Okay.
Whatever you best can do to describe the areas of the taillight that you did not swab.
Okay.
And if you could use the laser pointer, if that
Sure.
helps you.
I love that you guys
So
love these
I did
stickers
not
as much as I
swab
do.
the internal areas of the taillight. So here where the light bulb would have been, or down here where it's gray.
And focusing on the more,
And by light bulb, you mean unbroken light bulb, right?
well, is it okay to call it the inside part of the taillight? Is that acceptable?
Okay.
So the inside of the taillight, to be clear, you didn't swab that area.
No, I did not.
A Q-tip without the cotton. It's just a stick then.
In terms of where you did swab, given that you swabbed with one swab the entire area, you are not able to say precisely where any DNA might have come from?
Just that it would have been present, if there was DNA present or on that swab, it would have come from the external exposed area of the taillight, should the taillight have been intact.
But again, on the inside, because you didn't swab the inside, you had
I agree.
no evidence of DNA on the inside of the taillight, correct?
Correct, I did not swab the inside.
Ooh, that
With
started a
back-
subwave.
with regard
We're on a
to the
subwave.
we'll call the outside where you did swab as opposed to the inside where you didn't.
I didn't realize it.
You cannot define whether the DNA was to the upper right, to the outside of the taillight lens, or some other place in that area, correct?
No, I wouldn't be able to narrow down where on the external portion, external front. I mean, I didn't swab anything in the back that was attached to the vehicle. So anything in the external front, I would not be able to narrow down any further where, if any biological material was present, where it was recovered from, specifically on the external area.
This
You
sounds.
did not find any glass on the inside of the tail.
Are you referring to like loose pieces?
Any kind of glass at all.
No
I
glass?
did not note anything unusual inside the taillight.
No glass inside the taillight.
Thank you for that answer. I am speaking specifically about glass.
Come on, babe.
I said, that's weird.
Right?
If something is struck from the outside of the taillight,
It
would
would
push
go
you
inward.
in.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
You didn't find any glass on the inside of that taillight when you were at Sally Ford for your entire inspection on February 1st, 2022, correct?
I'm just want to make sure that I understand your question.
It's
I
not
didn't
that hard.
find anything that was not inherent to the taillight inside. I don't know what the taillight's made out of. So if there is a portion on the inside that's made out of glass,
Let me give you a hint, ma'am. You collected it as evidence.
it may have been there. I didn't see anything that was out of place on the interior of the taillight.
So, using your terms inherent, you mean by that something could have been on the inside of that taillight that was part of the taillight that
Right,
could
Danielle?
have
It's
been
not.
glass.
It's not.
But other than that, there's no what scientists call exogenous or
Kathy, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. You guys have started a subway, by the way.
outside glass or glass that doesn't belong as part of the taillight, correct?
I'm hesitant to answer that specific question. I don't perform glass analysis, so I
Patricia?
just perform collection. So if there was something that apparently looked like glass that had been loose inside, if that's what you're referring to, I can answer that question. But I can't say specifically whether a material is glass.
I understand. My question is a basic one,
Okay.
which is, you found no glass that would not be associated. Let me strike that. Did you ever observe in this taillight any glass as part of the taillight that's part of the taillight? Anything glass that you observed?
Again, I can't make the distinction on a material being glass, so I think the premise of the question I'm having difficulty answering.
Okay, so last part of the questioning, you didn't make any note that said you found glass inside of that taillight, correct?
I wouldn't make a note that something is glass
Ma'am, it's not that hard. It's yes or no.
inside a taillight
Like
because I
pulling
can't
teeth.
draw a conclusion to what a material is because that's just not part of the analysis I do.
And to wrap this part up, and then we can move on from this item, you didn't find any DNA on the inside of that taillight.
My analysis would not include DNA analysis because that is a different unit. So I can't answer that question.
To your knowledge, as you sit here today, is there any information from anybody that says that there's any DNA in that taillight?
I have no information of that.
Thank you. So what I want to do now is, if we can take that down, Mr. Wilk, I want to move on to what is sometimes referred to as touch DNA. I know you're familiar with that concept, right, Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, that's correct.
And what is, for the jurors' understanding, what is touch DNA?
When skin comes into contact with an item, potentially skin cells can be left behind, which is commonly referred to as touch DNA, when in essence it's these skin cells from the person being transferred to another object or item.
So is this a fair example that if I walk by the podium and brush my hand against it like that, I could very well leave touch DNA on that podium for what I just did? Okay.
So standard but more foundation for this witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. So, is it
Cass sent out some subscriptions. Thank you so much.
possible for me,
Check to
as
see
I'm
if your
sitting
name is
here
on the list.
talking, based upon your knowledge, to leave touch DNA on this podium?
Same.
Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. Are you familiar with the process by which a person can
Thank you so much, Cass. We appreciate it.
leave touch DNA on the surface?
Yes, I commonly defer to biological material because that is what my expertise is in. Skin cells can be transferred to an item,
Thank
and
you,
skin
Lori.
cells can potentially provide DNA.
So, do palms of hands produce skin cells?
Yes, they are made of skin cells,
And
correct.
if a hand is on, for example, a podium, can there be a transfer of skin cells to the podium?
Yes, there can be.
And therefore, can the hands on a podium that have skin cells transfer DNA?
Yes, again, I'm
You
not a
sent one
DNA
too?
expert, but generally,
It didn't tell me that you sent one too. TikTok making all their things not work properly. It's like
that
one
would
can.
be the source, would be skin cells. Could be, yes.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both
You
doing
also indicated that you collected apparent glass from the rear bumper of the Lexus, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you use the term apparent glass, as I understand
Pink
forensic
sensitive.
science, because at the time you're not really sure what it is, right? So you use the word apparent glass and you can't take away the apparent until there's a confirmation that it is glass, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Now you get to use the stickers.
And on your direct examination, you went through a discussion, so I'm going to shortcut it a little bit, about apparent glass that you located on the rear bumper of the vehicle, correct?
Pink sent it to you.
Yes, that's correct.
Your Honor, with your permission, can we publish Exhibit 141, which is in evidence?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Wolf? Ms. Hartnett, I'm showing you what is Exhibit 141 in evidence, and I know you know this, and I know it's been discussed. Could you just give a brief summary of what is depicted in Exhibit 141?
This is a close-up of the right rear area of the bumper where I noted the pieces of apparent glass.
Catnip,
And you
this is the
remember
part you missed
discussing
before.
this on your direct examination?
Yes.
Now, I just want to cover some basics with regard that weren't covered on the direct examination. You're a
Apparent
specially
glass.
trained person, and that's how you get your forensic scientist title, correct?
Yes, it means that I've gone through all the training within the lab.
And all that training and
All those
all
little
of
tiny little
those
fragments.
procedures are important and necessary because the collection of evidence is important, correct?
That is one of the reasons, correct?
And if those protocols aren't followed, then that can
Thank
lead to
you.
incorrect conclusions, correct?
Depending on what portion of the protocol is followed, but yes, it's
But
possible.
certainly, at a minimum, it increases the risk for an incorrect conclusion or observation, correct?
Again, it depends on what part of the protocol is followed, but it's possible.
I assume it's therefore important to you that the protocols are followed so that the best result and the best collection and therefore the best analysis occurs, correct?
I make every effort to follow the protocols.
Is the quantity of the material you observe and collect also relevant, perhaps not to you, but to other persons in the investigation?
Yes, it can be.
And therefore, it's important not only to get the type of material correct, but to get the quantity correct.
In some instances, yes.
And with regard to
Yeah, Brandy, that was from Cass.
your work on this vehicle on February 1st, do you recall discussing the collection, the observations you made with regard to the rear bumper?
Heather just sent 3 subscriptions too, so check and see if you got one and make sure to say thank you to them, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We met the
Did I
the bonus
just, I'm
goal.
sorry, can you ask that question again, please?
On direct examination, you talked about glass on the rear bumper, correct?
Yes,
You
apparent
talked
glass.
about what you observed, you talked about what you put a sticker on, you talked about
I
what
thought so
you
too,
collected,
Danielle.
you talked about the transport of it, correct?
That is correct.
And you put it in your notes, and you talked about it on direct examination, I assume because it was an important part of the work that you did.
Yes, there's a piece of evidence that I collected, correct.
And therefore, it's important for you to have made correct observations and to make correct collections.
Thank you,
right?
Tammy.
Correct.
Thank you.
With your honor's permission, if we could publish Exhibit
Aw.
133.
Kitty.
If I could have a moment with Mr. Woke just to do this efficiently, Your Honor? Thank you.
Mr. Alessi never lets us down.
With your honor's permission, if Mr. Woke, you could zoom in on
Yes.
the stickers, right? So, Ms. Hartnett, on your direct examination, you stated that there were 2 stickers and that there were therefore glass associated with each sticker, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So, 2 stickers and glass associated with each sticker, correct?
Yes, correct.
In fact, there's only 1 sticker, and the second sticker is merely a reflection of the first sticker, and therefore, you have doubled the stickers and you've doubled the amount of glass on the bumper. Can you see that? Can you determine that from the photo?
Oh.
No, can I see the other photo, please?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we could, Your Honor, with your permission, go to Exhibit 133.
The second sticker is a reflection of the first sticker. Can't get like the, what else could there possibly be? You want to hear him say it again? Hold on.
See that? Can you determine that? In fact, there's only 1 sticker, and the second sticker is merely a reflection of the first sticker, and therefore, you have doubled the stickers and you've doubled the amount of glass on the bumper. Can you see that? Can you determine that from the photo?
Second
No, can I see the other photo, please?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we could, Your Honor, with your permission, go to
Isn't
Exhibit 133.
Yep. I saw it too in my head. Yeah, epic fail. Epic, epic, epic fail. Holy crap. Please throw this case out. Somebody, anybody, because it's only going to get bigger every single day. Yeah, I saw
You
him
asked to see this one.
do that too.
Can you now make a determination, having seen both of them, whether there is in fact just 1 sticker and therefore 1 volume of glass associated with it?
No, I cannot.
You're gonna. Is this the hill that you want to unalive on? Because I don't understand.
You're saying this is a reflection?
I can't testify,
Okay.
so I'm asking you.
Good point.
With your honor's permission, if we could go back to the other picture,
Okay.
and you could zoom in. Do you see a reverse B
Catnip just sent a subscription. Thank you, Catnip.
in that picture?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry,
think
a
our monkey
reverse
got
B as in Bob? In that picture?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I'm sorry,
think our
a
monkey
reverse
got it.
B as in Bob?
No, could you zoom in on each of the stickers for me, please?
We'll do whatever you would like to do to answer the question, so.
Sure.
I love Alessi. We need an Alessi sticker now.
And then if I could just see the other sticker, please. Yes, I believe that is a reverse B, correct?
And doesn't that mean that it's a mere reflection and that there's only one sticker that you put on, and therefore only one volume of glass associated with one sticker?
Can you say that question again? I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I will stay by the microphone. Is this microphone
Yes, yeah.
picking up?
Show us how
So
Alessi says
therefore,
this. I want to see
can
his
you now
face.
conclude, because of the reflection and because of the reverse B, that there is
Right.
only, in actuality, and there was only in actuality, one sticker and one B, and therefore one volume of glass associated with this bumper.
Just say it.
I don't know specifically that it's a reflection. It's not unusual for me to use the same letter on a sticker if I'm going to collect the items of evidence together. So if I had written it, on top or on the bottom of the scale on one of them and on the top of the scale on the other one, that is a possibility. It's difficult for me to tell by this picture. What I can tell you is that all the items of glass or apparent glass that are present on the bumper were collected together. I can't say specifically.
Ma'am, how did you collect glass that you never marked as being glass? It was a reflection. It was a figment of your imagination.
By looking at this photo, whether I just label two separate areas to make the photo show the pieces better, or if it is a reflection. I can't say.
You already did say, though.
Just went through. You're not able to tell that that is a reflection and therefore a representation, is that correct?
I'm
Assistant.
Do you have
It's only
any
one
doubt
sticker.
whether there is a reflection on the photo that is on the screen at this moment? Do you have any doubt?
Oh, I would say it could be a possibility, yes.
Right, so you have doubt.
Assistant.
Why would you object
you
to
believe
that?
it's a possibility.
Yes, correct.
Is it more than a possibility?
Assistant.
You guys are being fickle. Stop.
You would agree that it's important to have the accurate answer to that question, correct?
I think that, yes, obviously, understanding and knowing exactly what I'm looking at is important, but it would not change what I would have collected and how I would have labeled it.
So, with regard to what others might do and conclude
Are you effing kidding me? Is he serious?
from that, it could be important to them, correct?
Assistant.
Let's go to we can go back to the,
I'm gonna be making some stickers tonight.
none of these pieces of apparent glass were embedded in the bumper, correct?
No, they were resting on the bumper.
So by not being embedded and just resting on the bumper,
Say it, Alessi. Do it. Say it.
you therefore did not make a notation that they were embedded in your notes. You just put that they were on the bumper, correct?
That's correct.
And sort of as we're elaborating here, you're
Alessi, please help validate what I said earlier. How the hell did it stay on the bumper the whole way there?
elaborating. They were just, as your words, they were just resting on the bumper.
Correct.
Every day, we don't think it can get worse,
If
but
we
it
could,
does.
if I may confer with Mr. Wolf on the video. Thank you.
Do you need the lights on?
Right, Kathy? That too. I keep waiting for someone to say we're punked. This isn't a real trial.
Thank you for that opportunity, Your Honor. If we could go to Exhibit 124.
You know what would make this even more epic was if it was an SNL skit.
Mr. Wolk, and with Your Honor's permission, if we could publish it.
If you know anybody that works for SNL, tell them this would be gold.
Ms. Hartnett, there had been various weather before February 1st in the area. Is that correct? You
Hopefully lists.
testified to that somewhat on direct examination.
Yes, that's correct.
And are you able to discern from what is on the screen now that there is some type of precipitation that is on the back window of the lift gate of the vehicle?
Yes.
And is that consistent with what you observed when you were in the Sally Port on February 1st?
I don't believe I observed the precipitation on the back of the vehicle by the time I arrived.
But does this refresh your recollection as to whether there was, in fact, that precipitation on the vehicle at that time?
I see where he's going. If it melted, it would have rinsed everything the hell off.
Can you ask it differently so we need it clearer?
Yes.
I
Do
agree
you
with you, Liz.
recall when you were at the Sally Port on February 1st, any precipitation on the rear window of the liftgate of the SUV?
No, I do not recall.
And does this depiction refresh your recollection on that point?
I'll allow that. Does it?
No, I don't recall seeing any precipitation on the vehicle, and I don't know when that photo was taken, so that does not refresh my memory of that.
In short, what he's asking you is how the hell did the glass stay there when being driven through a blizzard on a tow truck? Like, what the hell? Like, you know that's coming, right?
Instance.
Is there a date
Thank you.
of January 29th, 2022 on that photo? We can enlarge it if that would help. And
You're
again, this
getting
is in
nervous. You
evidence.
should be. She should be
Do you
nervous.
see what is at the bottom of the photo?
I did.
You're
Now, if
welcome.
we could play, with Your Honor's permission, this video. And if we could stop it at certain points, Mr.
Ooh, she
Wolf,
just
that
did a
would be
big
helpful.
gulp.
May we, Your Honor?
Okay.
Thank you.
The video that looks like they used a jammer on it? Yeah, that one. She did get back and do porn. I agree, Peggy. Here come those sirens. Right on cue.
If you could wait, Mr. Wolk, until the sirens pass. Mr. Wolk, if you can go back just and wait until the sirens pass, please.
Coughing, sirens. What else?
Thank you. I think
Power
they
outage,
passed.
something? I cannot believe this is real. There's no way this isn't going to be on a big screen someday. And I mean in the movie theater. Right, Catnip, that too. Pay attention to that, guys. When they actually show them, Hank and Bev share looks and nods. Yeah, an earthquake like we had one in Illinois yesterday, so why not? Thank you for extending your subscription, Heather. I appreciate you.
If you could accelerate it just a little bit, Mr. Wolf, without
Wow, we
overly
made it a
accelerating all
75.
that's happening.
I don't think I've ever made it above 75. Did you? I didn't feel the one in Illinois. It was only 3.3, but that's really big for Illinois. Hey, Sugar, you're just on time. Everything is falling apart. Well, for the prosecutors, of course. Do you know what that measured on the Richter? Did you guys hear Metallica was causing earthquakes during their concert?
And accelerate it a little bit more.
They've been causing earthquakes. Thank you, Sugar.
And that's good. And if you could bring, yes.
Literal
Okay.
earthquakes. I love
Could you have the
Metallica.
lights on and take that down, please?
I mean, only
Can you
Metallica could do
describe
that.
what you just saw?
Whatever the white material was present on the back of the vehicle was falling off.
And where,
Ma'am, why the attitude? Whatever the white material was, excuse me? Check your attitude at the door, ma'am.
was it falling onto?
The ground.
Thank you,
And did it hit
Samantha.
anything before the ground? For example, did it hit the bumper before it hit the ground?
Metallica had a concert 2 nights in a row. They caused an earthquake from their concert. It registered on the Richter.
I didn't take note of that.
That was on January 29th, 2022. You were at the Sally Port on February 1st, 2022, correct?
That's correct.
What person's
So-
Oh, that's recording. That's them transcribing instead of typing nowadays. They just talk into the thing. I saw Metallica once. It was the best concert I ever went to, and I don't think anything could ever top it.
That occurs on January 29. You come to the Sally
Did you?
Port on February
Me too.
1st.
Still
And
here.
There is glass on the bumper on February 1st that, as you have described it, is just perched on the bumper. Right.
Yes, that's correct.
He's gonna say it. He's gonna say it. Are you? I want to trade.
Do you know generally where Dighton, Massachusetts is?
Yes.
He's gonna have fun with this.
How-
She does.
Do you know where, and you obviously know where Canton is.
Yes.
How far
Tammy.
away would you say Dighton is from Canton?
Time-wise, maybe 30 to 45 minutes.
And therefore, roughly, if someone were to go the speed limit around 30 minutes away?
Sure.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I'm getting really excited because he's gonna bring up the point I did, but he's gonna do it more epically.
Not holding you to any exact time, just generally.
Did you? That's not horribly far from where I'm at. I know exactly where you lived at.
Your notes indicate that the vehicle was recovered from
was a
Dighton,
fabulous concert.
the one we've been talking about, the Lexus, and towed back to Canton and placed in the Sally Port
We got stickers for that
garage
now.
at the Canton PD before you started your examination, correct?
That's correct.
See, Jimmy just put them in.
And you were made aware before your inspection or examination on February 1st of 2022, that the alleged incident in this case took place in Canton, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So you knew you were looking at this vehicle, when you were looking at this vehicle and doing your examination, that the vehicle, by definition, as to what we had just covered, went from Canton to Dighton and then towed back from Dighton back to Canton, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Mm-hmm. I'm around Joliet. More south of it.
So it ends up back in Canton after that journey, correct?
Yes, that's where I examined it, correct.
So you mean to tell us it traveled all that way and it just happened to be resting on the bumper when it got there? I don't.
So, as I understand your notes, The glass
Good.
pieces that were just perched on the bumper would have traveled about 60 miles before you saw them?
Catnip, thank God you came back right in time.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
Wait, hold the hell on. You're not
Well-
saying that?
Alleged incident in this case took place in Canton, correct?
yes, that's correct.
So you knew you were looking at this vehicle, when you were looking at this vehicle and doing your examination, that the vehicle, by definition, as to what we had just covered, went from Canton to Dighton and then towed back from Dighton back to Canton, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I called that like 2 hours ago.
So it ends up back in Canton after that journey, correct?
The
Yes,
jury.
that's where I examined it, correct.
The jury's to her left.
So, as I understand your notes, the glass pieces that were just perched on the bumper would have traveled about 60 miles before you saw them?
Is that what you're saying?
Why
Yeah.
you always mine?
Well, when do you believe the glass appeared on the bumper, if you know?
I don't know when the apparent glass appeared on the bumper.
So you believe it's possible that the apparent glass appeared on the bumper after January 29, 2022?
Yes.
Sustained.
Of course you sustain that, Bev. Sit down.
Do you know the weather conditions that were in the area? We talked about it earlier, you talked about it on direct. In the general time of January 29th of 2022.
I'm jealous.
Yes, I do.
Do you know when the vehicle took its journey that we talked about, Canton, Dighton, back to Canton? Do you know what day that occurred?
No, I do not.
Would it have, let's assume it was on January 29th, okay?
Yes, okay.
For purposes of my questioning.
Does anybody else get an immense satisfaction from this moment right here? I do.
Do you know what the weather was, including wind speed, on January 29th?
No, I do not. I know general weather conditions. Sorry,
You knew generally, but not specifically, correct?
correct.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, I'd like to
She does,
publish
Liz.
Exhibit 60 in evidence.
Okay.
It's like you do a little toki before going into court.
And if you could go through to the top, Mr. Woke, of the title first.
I can't even read that.
If you could go before that to the very, very top title in the center so Ms. Artnett can see what okay.
Oh gosh.
And then if you could
Climatology.
now go down to the part of the document that would show the date and then go from left to right for Ms. Hartnett.
You
please,
do
and
you,
the
Mr.
jury.
Alessi. Yeah, the fact that she's an expert witness at
And show
that.
which column go up above what the 29 relates to.
I bet you Hank is sitting there wishing he picked a different career path.
And if you now then can proceed to the yellow line and go over to and hit the relevant categories. Thank you. So we have a 15.7. If you could now go up vertically as to what that number relates to. And can you highlight?
What's even more a joke is that this is our justice system. It's turning into a damn joke.
What it relates to.
Hopefully
And if
there's
you could
enough
now
people
go
watching
down
it now.
and go
make
up
it
above
better.
one, just above the average as to, yellow highlight what's above the column up above it.
Everything that they've done to Karen could be done to any of us.
Average speed. Yes. Okay, if you now can go down to the respective columns at the bottom for January 29th.
There's no
Do you
care for
see
justice.
those two numbers,
at
Ms.
all.
Hartnett?
Yes.
Only dishonoring it.
Does that refresh your recollection at all about the average wind speed and gusts of wind that were occurring on January 29th of 2022?
I have no firsthand knowledge of what the wind speed specifically was in those dates.
So if we could,
We can't be mad with Alessi because he's doing this extended way to prove the point that I brought up earlier. So I'm not going to get mad at him. I appreciate it. Just don't ask me to
go
follow
back
along.
to Mr. Wolf,
sure
the
do.
exhibit with regard to glass on the bumper of the vehicle that.
Hit it home, Alessi. Hit it home.
So these are your observations on February 1st. And we've talked about the journey that the vehicle went on.
Mr. Alessi, that's the reflective, I believe. I believe that's the reflective. So it wouldn't even have stayed on the bumper. I'll let you finish.
You talked generally about the weather.
So,
He objected, saying it's
try and
cross.
ask a question without too much.
I understand. Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, fine. Alessi can have a sticker. We'll do a Alessi sticker.
In your experience as a forensic scientist too, is it possible for glass that is perched on a bumper to travel 60 miles and be subject to average wind speeds of 15.7 and still remain on the bumper? Objection.
So it's sustained without a proper foundation.
Sit the hell down, Hank. Quit getting so damn excited. You knew this was a shit show from day one. Don't be surprised. Don't act like it at least.
Have you ever had experience with analyzing
Sorry, I can't keep
glass
the inner
on
bitch
any
in.
surface, an outdoor surface, and correlating that glass to weather conditions to make a determination as to the likelihood that glass could be or not be in a certain place on a certain date and time? Have you ever done that?
100% it was.
No.
Like, I can picture in my head him slamming his hand and everything. Like, he
Based
got-
upon what you know about this case, just based upon what you know, and from your role as a forensic scientist too only, do you believe that information would be relevant to your role as a forensic scientist too?
Sustained.
She can't compare to my resting bitch face. My resting bitch face is polished to perfection. She has no chance
How
up
did you
against that one.
recover the glass? What tool did you use to recover the
Sadly,
glass on the bumper?
It's also my natural setting.
Tweezers.
How difficult or easy was it for you to take the glass off that bumper with, did you say tweezers?
Yes, that's correct.
How hard or easy was it for you to remove those pieces of glass with tweezers?
It was not difficult.
So it was easy.
Yes, correct.
She does look. She does. She did a little token before going in court.
You
In
can
my
take
opinion.
that down, Mr. Wolf. Thank you. Moving on to another category, Ms. Hartnett.
She's a capital. Yes, please.
You testified on direct examination that you located an apparent hair on the rear right quarter panel of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And again, we say apparent hair for the reasons we've discussed. You didn't know at the time, so you use the word apparent, and you don't take away the apparent until testing confirms it's hair, correct?
Correct.
In your guys' brain, are you sitting here wondering what Alessi's going to do with this part now? Because I'm trying to play through everything categorically organized in my head, and it's still there. I don't know where he's going with this one.
So the apparent hair was not sitting on the horizontal bumper, but it was on a vertical portion of the panel? Is that correct?
If it's vertical, how the hell is a bumper?
Yes, that's correct.
And that's the quarter panel, right?
Yes,
And that's a smooth surface, right?
yes.
That hair wasn't secured to that panel, was it?
No,
It in fact wasn't secured in any way on that quarter panel, correct?
No.
that's correct.
It wasn't taped,
No,
it wasn't glued, it wasn't stapled,
no,
How would you say? Okay, whatever.
it was not affixed in any way whatsoever.
no, it was not.
You found this apparent hair at the same time you found the glass pieces on the bumper, correct?
In the same general time, yes, that's correct.
When you say same general time, it was just one day you were there, correct?
Yes.
The range of time wasn't that broad, was it, correct?
No, it was not correct.
What was the range of time between finding one versus the other?
I don't know specifically. I was there for approximately 2 hours, so within that time
So
period.
within just 2 hours, you found the pieces of glass and the apparent hair, and within that time, you did your examination, you made your notes, all of that done within just 2 hours.
Yes, that's correct.
He's gonna bury her with this.
You remember the journey we talked about of the vehicle that you spoke about with regard to Canton, Dighton, Canton? Recall that?
Yes, I do.
So do you know whether, do you have any knowledge whether that hair was part of that journey? Do you have any knowledge?
I do not.
Lots of taxpayer money.
Do you know when the hair was deposited on the vehicle?
No.
I've never heard that analogy before. That was epic. I love it.
Was it easy or hard to take off the apparent hair from that quarter panel?
Flabbers.
It was easy. Again, I picked it up with a pair of tweezers.
Didn't give you any resistance?
No.
Hold on, let me roll back because I
With
interrupted
your
her
Honor's
by
permission,
laughing.
I would like examination. You made your notes, all of that done within just 2 hours.
Yes, that's correct.
Sorry, guys.
You remember the journey we talked about of the vehicle that you spoke about with regard to Canton, Dighton, Canton? Recall that?
Yes, I do.
So do you know whether, do you have any knowledge whether that hair was part of that journey? Do you have any knowledge?
I do not.
Do you know when the hair was deposited on the vehicle?
No.
Was it easy or hard to take off the apparent hair from that quarter panel?
It was easy. Again, I picked it up with a pair of tweezers.
Didn't give you any resistance?
No.
At least she's being truthful about that part.
With your Honor's permission, I would like
It's not Jackson.
us to look at a depiction of
This isn't Jackson, this is Alessi.
the hair. May I, Your Honor?
What exhibit number?
It is, I believe we're going to start with 144B.
Okay.
Is he gonna show him a picture of a dog? Show her a picture of a dog? Say, is it possibly this?
And if you could zoom
I
in,
don't know.
please, Mr. Wolf, for the jury and for Ms. Hartnett. Do you still have a laser pointer, Ms. Hartnett?
Yes, sir.
Could you kindly use that and draw a circle around the apparent hair?
He does.
Thank you. I'm going to refer to that as a J shape. Is that a fair description of it, or do you have a better description of it?
I see two ends of the hair and an arch, so I'm going to say more of like a C-shaped.
Okay, so you would refer to that as a C shape?
Correct.
And would that be a reverse C? Then if it's a C shape?
I think she's seeing the water droplets
In that
instead, sir.
picture, it's difficult to tell if the ends are making contact or if they're coming off the vehicle, so I'm not sure.
Whatever way you would describe it, a letter or shape, because then what I'm going to do, it's not a trick here, but
Yeah.
I'm just going to show you another picture of it, of that hair that might be in a different location or different shape. So I want to give a contrast. So whatever term you want to use that's fair to you.
So I think it looks like a C. I can't say, it could also be like a U. I'm not sure which way the ends are facing from this perspective.
Can you
She's
once
seeing
again, just so
this,
we're clear, when
not
the
that.
jury's clear, just draw a circle around it again, what
Sure.
you're talking about, and we won't give it a name,
Okay.
right? We'll just do the contrast. Right.
Okay.
So if I were to just say there looks like there might be a little hook at the top and then that there's a vertical line, is that a fair description?
Yes.
Okay, so can we go with that, a little hook at the top and then a straight, or a line, that vertical line that comes down?
Sure.
And that
Yes.
hook is orienting left, correct? Of the vertical line, it's to the left of the vertical line?
Yes, I do see it from this perspective to the left. That's
Okay,
correct.
very good. And that's the apparent hair.
Yes.
And you only saw or found one apparent hair, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, if we could, Mr. Wolk, now go to Exhibit 144A. And if you could zoom in on that for Ms. Hartnett and the jury's benefit. Could you draw a circle now around the apparent hair?
Nope. That's not the same hair, ma'am.
Thank you. And isn't that apparent hair now oriented almost 180 degrees the opposite, with the hook orienting right?
It most certainly is.
The photo's taken from a different angle, so do you see the hook? Are you talking about the hook at the top? Looks now, it appears to be on the right.
Ma'am, it's semantics that you're arguing. Michelle, I cannot believe that you've missed this much today. It's been monumentous. Make sure that you watch for it to hit on YouTube after we end the live, because I'm definitely putting it up.
But I can't, they're taken from different angles, sure.
Cannot make this ish up. Any of this.
No.
Are you speculating that it's taken from a different angle?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd have to see them side by side, but it's just the orientation of the, my marking.
Ma'am, choose the hill that you want on a live on. Is this really the one you want to do it? Really?
Can you put them up side by side?
Absolutely.
Okay,
If that would be helpful you answer your questions, happy to do it.
potentially, yes, thank you.
Mr. Wolf?
I love his sarcasm that's aimed as being just overly friendly, but we know it's not. I love it. He's definitely getting a sticker.
Maybe we zoom in if possible for each one, so we can get, would that be helpful if we zoom and get a side by side?
I mean, even from the overalls, I can,
What did I just miss? It looks like Liz and Michelle got subscriptions. The hair that is possibly a hair, well, let me tell you this, it's nothing because they never bothered to test it. And it also happened to stay on the bumper of Karen's vehicle over 60 miles and not get blown off, and it wasn't even held by anything on there. So, and even if we were to count that hair still, it was never tested, so we know nothing about it. It could be a hair, it could not be hair. We just don't know. That's the sad part, is we're trying to get to that short of a point. With all of this is unnecessary because it's not real. Ride, Sally, ride.
tell that they're taking,
Let's start with the old
Okay.
photos that you would like, and then we can, okay.
Nope,
Is that
wasn't
where
tested.
you wanted to start?
yes, just by looking at those, to me, it looks like one is from slightly to the side of the vehicle and one is more directly head on.
Right, so
who did send those subscriptions because it didn't tell me either, so I can't thank you.
One's slightly to the side and the other's a little bit more head-on, but that's the only difference, correct? It's
Yes.
still the same from top to bottom. It's still the sign from side to side. It's the same orientation, correct?
And don't forget, we found out that one of the markers for the hair was actually not a real marker. It was a reflection of the original one. So she'd been testifying that it was a different marker. It wasn't. It was just a reflection. Thank you for the follow, Billy.
The vehicle didn't move, but the camera angle is different in both
Thank
pictures.
you.
That's what I was saying in the other one. So the camera angle is different. One is the one camera angle appears for who's ever taking the photo to be standing off to the right of the vehicle. The second photo looks like it's more directly
I
head on.
agree. I see it.
The 570 is oriented the same way in both pictures, correct?
It's
You see
angled
the
though.
570
Yes. Yes.
on the
I
left.
hate that I agree
You
with
see
her.
the 570 on the right, correct?
Yes, I do.
They're same orientation, right?
They're in the same location on the vehicle, but I don't think they're at the same orientation. I think one looks,
If you could, I want to make sure you finish, but if you could just, my questions are rather narrow.
okay.
And then if you need more time to answer them, I'm happy to do that.
So let's
Thank
just
you,
ask a
Katie.
question.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. So isn't the 570 in each picture oriented the exact same way?
If you could just explain what you mean by oriented, I think that's where I'm confused.
They're the same, you can read the 570 horizontally, it's the same horizontal plane, correct? It's the same straight across, like one doesn't have the 570 upside down. You can read it from left to right, a 5, a 7, and a 0, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
The only difference is somebody took a step to the right and turned and took an angle picture. That's the only difference that she's seeing. But I do see it too. But it's a mute point at this point.
Now, if we can, Mr. Woke, now zoom in and get the largest depiction of each one from a zoom in.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Are you saying the difference in how that hair appears is from a different camera angle?
No, I'm not making that conclusion. I'm just saying I can't make any other conclusion because they're from different angles. I don't feel that I can compare the two.
Is it possible that the hair moved when someone took a photograph?
Hold on. They're side by side. So the first one, this is it, the J. The second one that was just taken a few steps away is a C. He put them side by side. That's why it's hard for me to show. See, we have J, C. The hair that was frozen on there. Yes, frozen. She made sure to let us know it was frozen on there. It moved when you snapped the picture.
That question.
Again, I just can't make that conclusion because I didn't take the photo and the photos look like they're from different angles.
In your experience, you've taken samples many times of apparent hair, correct?
Have I taken samples
Yes.
such as that? Yes, that's correct.
Has it ever happened that when you're taking a sample, the photographer or someone breathes on it and the apparent hair moves? Does that ever happen?
Thank you to whoever sent subscriptions. I didn't see because so wrapped up in this, but thank you so very much. I appreciate it.
I've never had firsthand experience with that, so that if somebody breathes on an item of evidence, that would be something I would note.
Other than,
Okay, she's
is it
self-soothing.
correct that you're speculating as to what could
She's
be
doing
causing
this.
this difference? Are you speculating?
Sustained. I'd like to see counsel at sidebar for a couple of things, please.
Please say the reason you want to sidebar is because you're going to throw this damn case out, which we know you're not, but don't worry, we could skip ahead a little because we paused it enough times, I think.
Mr. Mr. Wolf? Your Honor, with the court's permission.
Sure, you can put it back up on the screen.
Thank you.
I cannot believe that this is even actually really on. Like, this is happening. This isn't a movie. This is actually happening. Every day we say there can't be anything possibly that would top the day before, and then it just does. It falls into our lap. I wonder what would happen if he did.
Thank you for your patience, Ms. Hartnett. Do you have any explanation that you're certain of with regard to those two depictions?
Yes, please enlighten us.
Regarding what, sir? I'm sorry.
The two depictions that are up on the screen.
She's
Do
gonna
I
lay
have any
down.
explanation of what?
Of those two depictions that you're certain of.
Those are both a depiction of the same apparent hair that I collected from the vehicle.
Thank you.
All right, so turn on the lights, please. Jurors, I'm told, counsel, this is a good place to break. So we're going to break for today. Please, those same cautions, do not discuss this case with anyone. Do
Are you
not
kidding
do
me?
independent research or investigation into the case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything
Why does
about
Bev
the
look
case,
so
please
red?
disregard it and let us know. Please be very careful with your social media. We'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, raise your hand if you're starting to wonder if the reason that they cut out early was because, you know, might have a problem here. I don't even know, like, what do you say to this?
Yes, can I see counsel at sidebar while the jury's filing out?
Please do not hit mute. Whoever's you hit mute, didn't you? Damn it. Let's hope they accidentally unmute it. Just in case, let's just stay here. Maybe they'll accidentally hit the unmute. Just as easily as they mute it. You know, just a little tap. It's an accident. It all is forgiven. But she doesn't want to admit that. They're trying to prove that the hair wasn't in the same spot because she said it was frozen to the bumper and it traveled the whole ride on the tow truck without it blowing away. And she said it was frozen to it. Then how was it shaped two different ways in two different pictures of the exact same spot? I know. Where can we get an honest cameraman to accidentally slip and hit the mute button to unmute? Okay, she cannot end like this because how do they go on with the case and pretend that this did not just get caught in real time? I would want to run if I was her too. It means it could possibly have been planted or moved. Who knows? This is really cringe. Like, this is a moment secondhand embarrassment for them, but they deserve it. Oh, do they deserve it? I keep waiting for the cameraman to accidentally hit that unmute button anytime now. It would be an accident, but we would forgive you. I know. So it's a mute point. That's gonna be their argument now. But the prosecutor says it's a mute point because they never tested it anyways. Thank you, Cass. I could totally see them pulling that card out. Well, you know, this line of questioning needs to be stricken from the record because it's a mute point now. Thank you, Cass. It's not done, is it? Oh, what a joke. Your front row seat to judge. This is not justice. Thank you so much. This is not justice. This all just happened. No, they've never tested the hair. Please tell me the reason that they ended the date early, which, keep in mind, there wasn't even court yesterday. Please, somebody, for the love of God, please tell me it's because they could finally throw this case out. Yeah, they're done for today. They sent the jury home and went into a second sidebar. Honestly, it just shows the level of corruption and possible tampering. They never tested the hair. No. So all of this is about a hair that had never been tested. Not once. It could be Billy Bob's hair from 5 rows over. We don't know. And we won't know. They never tested it. We don't even know that it's a human hair. We don't even know that. And honestly, it was a curly kind of hair, so it could have been from somewhere down south. I don't know. Just saying. Just saying. Exactly. They travel with the vehicle going on the back of the truck for 60 miles. And the glass pieces that were just resting on the bumper, they didn't get blown off. The hair that she stated was frozen to the bumper, it didn't knock that off either. Nor did it run off with the melted. And not only that, she had documented the hair was on there twice because she saw her, well, this is, okay, how they're saying it is she saw the reflected image and counted it twice. But when she's marking this down, she's not the one taking pictures. So who would have seen it reflected? Unless you were behind the camera and it was a digital screen that you're looking at right there and then, when that picture is snapped, how could you possibly see a reflection? You can't. There is no reflection. It doesn't work that way. If I ever get arrested for anything, you guys make sure that they're my lawyers. Not that I ever would, but if you know, I mean, Karen's arrested, so who knows? Okay, thank you. Can't play it on here because you don't ticky-tacky. Thinking we're 5. I don't know. You're welcome. Out of all the days in court so far, there's not one that's beyond this. Thank you, LT. You've missed a beyond epic day. I'm going to put this one up on YouTube as well. It should take me less longer because the day was shorter. But make sure you guys see this one. I cannot believe this stuff. And I know I sound excited. I can't believe this. Like, how is this real? Like, somebody pinch me. I feel like we're sitting here watching a movie play out, but what we're really watching is our justice system. Now let that sit home for a minute. If they could do this to Karen, they could do this to any of us. That's what gives me the chills. Oh yeah, it'll be up. The fact that Karen might finally get let go from this it's coming closer, in my opinion. Thank you. One can only hope. And it's really weird for me to be in this position because I've never covered a case where I wanted the defendant to get off of their charges. Never. And I don't even like the defense attorneys. I always like this preconceived notion. I don't really like them. So this is really an uncomfortable spot to be in for me even. Like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But the sad part is the state is the one doing it. The bigger picture starts to fall in, and it gets heavier. So that's when the smile disappears from your face because it's just like, shit. This isn't a movie. This is actually happening to a real person, not an actor. And people are starting to wonder why they don't want people in the town. They don't want people going there right now. They don't want people looking into this. Why? Why? Because we're about to see how corrupt Canton really is. Hopefully. That's in a perfect world. We will see. Well, we never would be here in a perfect world, but no. They didn't even run tests on Solo Cup contents, which was the frozen blood-like fluid. What the hell have they run tests on? How in the world is this happening and it's not a movie? This is really happening. And I know I sound excited, but at the same time, I understand the weight of it too. I do. I'm flabbergasted, I guess is the more appropriate term. It does. It feels like a movie. Like I'm waiting for someone to sneak out of the back of the computer and say, punked. They better. If they do this and they don't go after Canton, you can guarantee all these eyes watching are going to be mouths talking. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want him now. He's a buddy of Diddy's. Anyways. What she does here right now is going to send a silent message far and wide, in my opinion. If she still lets the charade continue, don't complain at the consequences. I feel like I still have so much more to say, but at the same time, I can't think of it. The hairs on my arms are standing up. And I smile when I'm uncomfortable. I'm an uncomfortable smiler. So this isn't a happy smile. This is uncomfortable, cringe, what the hell? How is this happening? But the fact that it's happening now is in front of so many more eyes than it would have, like it did the first time. We weren't watching then, not all of us. And sadly, Lisa, I think I don't think that's even possible. I don't think it's even possible to get justice for John. No, same lawyers. My understanding is they're doing it pro bono this time. Oh, absolutely. All right. I'm not one that is big on lawsuits, but if I was her, I would sue the hell out of each and every one of them and the city. There has to be, whatever voice there is right now, the voice at the end of this needs to be 10 times louder. 10 times louder, because people are going to be listening. People are going to be telling people, and more people are going to be listening. Their reaction and what they do or don't do today is going to set tomorrow. And I have a feeling we're not going to have anything happen. Bev did not just end early and have another sidebar because she's going to throw the case out. No. That's why I say the uncomfortable smile, the awkward smile. Because no. We're going to be back here tomorrow. Most likely, it's going to be the same damn thing. And we're just going to pretend that this all didn't happen. That's why I say the voice at the end has to be louder than the voice right now. Because they need to make sure everyone's still listening. So on that thought, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Good luck burning off this energy. I'll post this live on my YouTube when I'm done. So if you're not following me over there, it's Michelle's Criminal Musing. The link is in my bio. Make sure you go subscribe. And I will put this up as soon as it uploads. So it'll be there. One of the counsel that is sitting on AJ's defense side. Why would a prior juror be sitting in the audience for a retrial? Hold the hell on. That's like 15 more red flags. Thank you so much, guys. And thank you for all of you that sent out gift subscriptions. I really appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Okay, you want me to? Okay, I'll wait. A juror from the last case happened to be the juror in her last trial, and that's her attorney now? Shut up, really? I heard that they found out the jury from the first trial had some corruption in it, but I don't know. If only there was an official source to cite. So sadly, we have to put our IMOs next to it because we don't have a source to cite. I wish there was one, but you know how it is around there. They don't keep track of anything at all. Apparently, even their spouses. I cannot wait to dive down that rabbit hole with you. Trust me, me and Catnip are going to be the first ones out of the gate. As soon as they throw this out, we can dive in. Was it in the news? If you could find that cast, if you figure out where it was, let me know, please. Because then I could say I could drop the IMO. Thank you. You guys are epic. I don't know. I have like all this nervous energy that I don't know what to do with. Because what I would really do right now is I go dive into all of this mess. But I can't. Okay, good. So we could drop the IMOs. That's good. So that means there's record of it. What do you think they'll do with that? They don't do anything. I wonder if the FBI that's in this, supposedly, in the stands there, I wonder if he's given some side eye, but to a more official degree. The juror was an alternate. Okay, let's just ask the question. I know you guys are probably wondering it too. Is there anybody that thinks that this jury is in no way tainted and affected by all of this? I don't want to have to say it, but yeah. Is the corruption that far? Because if not, why are the jury not wanting to stand up and shout too? I know. I don't think we'll ever honestly know. That's what's scary. That's what's scary, is that they could be. We don't know how far it runs. We have no idea. I forgot to check the headlines and make sure nothing monumental happened. Let's look. I'll have to watch Lori's thing later. I mean, how do you not know them? Yeah, that would not be good for that. I don't get it either. That's what's scary. Is that I could totally see that happening. Plans inside the jury. It's scary because how in the hell, if there are, how in the hell is Karen ever going to get away from this? How is she ever going to get her own version of justice? Were they planning on rigging it that far in? Oh gosh, Michelle, stop, pump the brakes. Dial it back a few notches. Okay, we're good. All right, guys. Go tell everybody about this so they watch it too, so that way they know to keep them in accountability. Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys so much. I will see you tomorrow at 11. Yeah, I saw that. They released a different video of Cassie too. You are very welcome. You guys have a good night, and I will see you later. I'll put this live on YouTube as soon as it uploads, so it'll be there soon. Good night, guys. Thank you. Bye.